Hey y'all, it's your girl, Hope Your TV Movie Bestie, and I watch good shit. And I just got done watching this week's episode of Your Friends and Neighbors. Remember Barney? He is wanting to be in on this deal with Coop and Elena, how they rob houses. They sit down, have a meeting, and right away, his involvement seems very demanding. So he's like, y'all, we gotta up the amount of money that we move it. And they're like, no, we did 14 houses last year. We only do small amounts of money, small things that people won't notice that they're missing. They're worth a lot of money, but it's something that people would not necessarily notice. And so Barney's like, nah, we got to get this money. Like, I'm now in, so we need to make more money anyway. And he's just like, you know what? We need to start cleaning the money. He says, I got a guy, he does that professionally, and we can cut him in for like 20%, and then we can get this going. Elena is like, no. She's like, I don't like cutting you in. And now you talking about adding somebody else? I don't like this at all. And I'm with her. Like, you keep opening this up and all y'all gonna get caught. No, we gotta keep it small. I think they doing just fine. Coop paying all his bills. Elena, she's satisfied. We don't need to get too big and especially not too quick. Mel, she's supposedly working on this book. And so she's just home hanging out and baby, perimenopause is kicking her ass. Like she can't sleep. She wakes up, she's sweating. She's like, what is happening to me? She's looking up symptoms online and she's seeing all the stuff that's to come. And she's just like, oh shit. She's also bored out of her mind. She's like home all day by herself. So Mel going through it. Ashe, he shows up at Sam's house that night and he brings her this giant bouquet of flowers. And she's like, oh, Ashe, thank you for everything you've done. You know, I'm getting business. I'm doing good with the real estate. And she's like, but I feel like you're trying to date me. And he's like, yeah. She's like, no. She's like, I am not dating material. And he's just like, are you sure? Because you are really hot. And she's like, I know. Thank you. That makes me feel really good. But trust me, you don't want to get involved with all of this. And so he's like, you sure? And she's like, yes, I am very sure. So he leaves. So then next day, Coop and Mel's children, so their daughter and their son, they meet Ashe's daughter. And so right away, Hunter likes her. And so his sister's like, hey, new girl, my brother want to talk to you. You want to talk to him? And so he's just like, and so she said, go on over there. So he goes over. Now, I'm like, Hunter, you got a girlfriend. Like, I know y'all had a little fight the last episode, but I didn't think y'all broke up. Y'all just fighting. So respect your boundaries. But anyway, so he go over there. He meets Delilah. They have a nice little conversation. Everybody's hanging out at the country club. So we go to the ladies who are in the sauna. I remember last episode, the guys were hanging out. They're all talking. All the women are like, Mel, you should hook up with Ashe. And she's like, what? No. She's like, And they're like, yeah. They're like, he's hot. He's rich. Like, what's the problem? And they're like, look, we ain't saying marry the man, but at least take him for a spin. And so she's just like, please, y'all. So anyway, they all go off and have lunch. So Mel's still in the sauna with one of her friends. And she starts telling her about perimenopause. And her friend's like, girl, you need to start hormone replacement therapy. And she's like, just like that? Like, that's your solution? And she's like, And she said, so add more hormones to my body? And she's like, girl, when you go through the rage and you literally want to kill people for no reason, she's like, you'll rethink it. And so she's like, okay, maybe. And so she's like, telling her about how she was getting ready to have sex with that guy and then she couldn't. And so she's like, girl, I got you there too. And she's like, you need to get the Mona Lisa touch. And she's like, what is that? And so she basically says it's like vaginal rejuvenation. And so Mel is like, what? And she's just like, yeah, girl, it'll plump you up down there. It helps with the dryness. She's like, that's what you need. And so Mel is just like, I was not ready for perimenopause. Like, this is too much. We're in the clubhouse, and Ashe and Coop, they're having breakfast. So they're talking, just shooting the shit, whatever. And so Ashe is like, I think we the only single men in this neighborhood. And so Coop is like, yeah, everybody's married. And so he said, well, we need to go out. And he's like, we need to go to the city one night. He said, you know what? I could be your wingman. And Coop's like, he's like, no. He was like, no, I'm not saying you need it. He's like, you got this whole little suave look going on. And he said, but it'll be fun. And Coop's like, I'm gonna go on and have breakfast with my family. So they leave. So it's later in the day, and Barney and Coop, they go meet Barney's guy. This guy, he got a full-fledged plan. He lays it out. He's like, yeah, but I'm gonna need 30%. 30? And so Coop negotiates him to 25. And the guy's like, okay. The guy is very slick. Like, he seems too good at this. Like, it is clear that he has done money laundering for a while and that he is well knowledgeable about it. And I don't know if that's good or bad, because while he seems to know what he's doing, he also seems like y'all all might end up in jail. So they leave, and Barney's like, you know what? I'm gonna figure something else out. Like, this is probably not the route we need to go. Maggie, who is one of the ladies in the neighborhood. So her daughter is having this huge birthday party. She's like a little kid, and everybody in the neighborhood is literally at this birthday party. Sam, so she's driving, doing her real estate thing, and she sees this whole party, and she's like, I know she ain't having a party and didn't invite my kids. So she's like, okay. So she pull up, and she goes in, and she's just like, did you have this party and invite everybody except for my son, Henry? Henry and your daughter are like best friends. And so Maggie's like, look, we didn't want to start nothing, and we didn't mean to exclude Henry. We just didn't want you to come. And she's like, first of all, rude. And second of all, I could have sent him with somebody else. And so she's like, and she's like, oh, and why you ain't want, you ain't want me here because Mel is here, right? And so Maggie's like, Sam, you did frame her ex-husband, the father of her children, for murder. Like, and she's like, okay, she's like, I get what you're saying, but like, my son is 5 and his dad just committed suicide and his whole little life is falling apart. Like, I almost went to jail. And she's just like, you could have invited him to this birthday party. And so she's like, she's like, that's fucked up. And so she, storms off, she leaves. This is later, another day, Mel's hanging out at her house. She's going her backyard. She's going, sit down, work on her book. Well, as she's walking out her backyard, she steps in dog shit. And she's like, what? So she goes next door and she knocks on her neighbor's door and she's like, hey, I got a dog. And so they're like, oh yeah, we rescued this dog. He's a big mastiff. And she's like, yeah, he's shitting in my yard. She sees him, like, first she steps in the poop, then she sees the dog, and she sees him shit in her yard. And she's just like, yeah, so could y'all, maybe get him out of my yard? And I don't know, keep him on a leash and keep him in his own yard. And so the lady is just like, well, they don't really like to be pent up, and they kind of just like to roam, and we let them do their own thing. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You can let him do his own thing in y'all's yard. Like, baby, now I'm sensitive to this because I literally had this problem with my neighbors. Their dog was shitting in my yard. And when I tell you, I was like, you and your dog can die. Like, because I got no problem with dogs. I love dogs as much as anybody else. Your dog needs to be on a leash. And then your dog needs to be in your yard, or you need to be walking him. And if he comes in my yard, which I don't know what he would be doing in my yard, but if he's in my yard, don't let him shit in my yard. And if he does, get the little baggies and pick it up and move on. But no, you allowing him to do whatever. Oh, okay, yes. So I'm buying cayenne pepper, pesticide, everything. I don't care if your dog dies because your dog is in my yard. So I felt Mel on this. She's like, no, get your dog and get him out of my yard. We're back at school, and Delilah, she runs into Hunter at school, and she invites him to this concert. Dad, he's always trying to like buy my love, so I got floor seats to this concert. You want to go? And so he's like, yeah. So here comes Morgan, his girlfriend, remember? And so she see him in the hallway, and she like, who this is? And so she says, hey, I'm Morgan. Who are you? And so Delilah's like, I'm new to town and I just started school. And she's like, it's only 3 months left in the school year. You just started school? And so Delilah said, I like this a lot. She said, I like to up the degree of difficulty whenever I can. I said, oh, because baby, that sounds like a threat. I was like, all right, Delilah. Tori, who is Coop and Mel's daughter, she comes home and thrown her this huge surprise party. They got Princeton stuff everywhere. They're like, yay, you're going to Princeton. And she's like, what now? And so Mel is like, girl, I logged into your portal and you got accepted to Princeton. And so they all hugging her, congratulating her. And she's like, you did what? And she's like, you had no right to do that. And I'm like, wait a minute now. We ain't happy about this? So they're like, okay, sorry again, but you going to Princeton. Like, yay. And she's like, no. And they're like, no. And she said, I turned Princeton down. You did what? She said, yeah, I already declined. I'm not going to Princeton. And so Mel, I said, Mel is going through perimenopause. She can't take one other thing. Like, Mel don't have the strength for it. And she starts losing her shit. And she's like, what you mean you ain't going to Princeton? And so Coop trying to be the level-headed parent. And he's like, have you accepted some other school? And Mel is like, no, she going to Princeton. And so Tori is like, see, this is why I didn't tell y'all, because I knew it would be this thing. And so they're like, what are you saying, Tori? And she's like, well, I don't want to go to Princeton, and I don't even know if I want to go to college. And Mel's like, what? So Mel is just like, no, you're going to college. And she's like, and you're going to Princeton. And she's like, Mom, that's what y'all want me to do. Y'all went to Princeton. Y'all want me to go to Princeton. And so Coop is like, well, we want you to go to school. So if you want to go to another school. And she's like, no, I want to figure out what I want to do with my life. And Mel is like, that's why you go to college. And she's just like, I give up. This whole thing, it went from sugar to shit real quick. Tori goes, can we just talk about something else? So Allie goes, well, I took the job at the school, so now I'm going to be teaching. And so they're like, okay. Coop is like, oh my gosh, I thought you told her not to go and do that. And so Mel is like, I think she would be good at it. And so Allie's like, excuse me, what y'all talking about? And Mel is like, well, Coop didn't think you could handle it. And she's like, oh, you didn't? And she's like, who are you to tell me what I can do, Coop? And so Coop's like, thanks, Mel. And so he's like, look, I just am looking out for you. And so here go Tori. As usual, Mom, you're dipping your nose in everybody's business. And she's like, so you parent everybody throughout their whole life? Is that what you do? You just micromanage everything? I said, Lord have mercy. Then here go Grandma. Coop's mama. She chimes in and she's like, Tori, this is the same age that Allie started rebelling, and look at her. Damn, Grandma. And so Allie was like, Mom, and she's like, I'm just saying, think about it, Tori. So I said, whoa. So Tori, she storms off. Mel and Coop, they go outside. And Mel is like, she doing this to punish us. She mad at us. And Coop's like, maybe not. Maybe this is, just about her. And she's like, no, don't try to make it seem like she's rational. She's crazy and she's making a foolish decision. And so Coop's like, okay, well, maybe we should just give her some time to just breathe and come to her senses. I'm sure, she could maybe rescind the decline. And Mel is like, that girl getting on my nerves. So she go back in the house. Coop's still sitting outside. So here comes his dad. And his dad's just like, it's hard not able to protect them, right? And Coop's like, but I'm her dad. If I can't protect her, who can and who should? And so his dad is like, look, it's not about not being able to protect them. It's about her not allowing you to protect her. And he said, look, you got to learn how to keep them close, but also let them go. And he said, this is her time of her life where she's got to figure it out. You just got to stay on the sidelines, cheer her on, continue to be supportive to her. And then when she gets in the situation or she realizes like, hey, I need my dad, then she'll come back around and you'll be right there to catch her. And Coop's like, I guess, Dad. So he's like, okay. Everybody's standing outside and here comes Ashe pull up in this stretch Hummer. And they're like, what is this? And so Mel's like, you got the wrong house. Go ahead on. And so Ashe pops out the top and he's like, no, I got the right house. Hey. And so here comes Hunter out the house and Hunter's like, I'm going to a concert. And they're like, what? Again, this is where, how are you telling your parents you going somewhere? Baby, you ain't asked, you ain't said nothing about this concert all day. But okay, so they let him go. And so he gets in and Delilah's like, I'm so sorry about this. And she was like, and also everything that's to come tonight. And he's just like, okay. So Coop knows that Ashe is out, right? So he said, let me go and check out his house. So he goes, him and Elena are out. Elena's like, don't worry, he hasn't set up any of his security cams. He's hired his maid, but she hasn't started yet. Like, we good. So Coop like, okay. So he takes a first edition book, thinking everything is cool. So the next day, Ashe shows up at his office. And so he's like, what you doing here? And so Ashe is like, the other day I said that you were a complicated man. And he said, yeah. And he said, well, I had no idea how complicated you were. And he pulls out his phone and boom, it's a little video of Coop robbing his house. And the episode ends. So I said, uh-oh, here we go. I can't wait to see what Ashe is about to do now. Are y'all watching this show? Let me know your thoughts, your comments. Like, subscribe, and follow. I'm on all the socials, Your TV Movie Bestie, and I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye, y'all.